next thing we are to look at is some useful IpTables commands. So what we're going to look at is, the first thing we're going to look at is displaying the available roles. The next thing we're going to look at is redirecting traffic to a port, to a specific port, maybe from a single port to another port. We also need to delete a role from a chain and also delete the chain itself. Then we're going to drop packets from a source, maybe a specific source. We're also going to drop traffic from a given port. Maybe you don't want somebody to connect to us using port 80. We're going to drop traffic coming into that port. Then the next thing we're going to do is drop traffic from an entire subnet. So maybe we don't want somebody within our internal network accessing what is in our server, so we're going to drop traffic from the whole subnet. So we are also going to prevent traffic from a port in a given interface, and we're also going to block all traffic except from a single source. Now, before we move on, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to do all what you have just seen, all the 5 or 6 or so useful IpTables command. This takes you to an advanced level 2, maybe an administrator. So if you can read, write, create, edit, and so on, you can do any operations pertaining IpTables. So let's get started. So I'm going to switch to my current machine here and test, see if that's going to work. So let's start with the first command here, displaying available roles. How do you do that? Well, displaying the roles, use IpTables. So, and before we move on, you're supposed to be root. So I'm going to switch to the substitute user to root. Do that very fast. Okay, authentication failure. Minute, let me try again. And there. So what I want to do is Subash, so I don't make mistakes on the passwords. So as you can see, so I'm now root. I'm now in the root. Who am I? Sorry, who am I? Yeah, I'm in the root environment. So the first thing to do is displaying the list of roles available. So what you're going to do is IpTables tag T for a table. Which table are we going to use? So I prefer using that in this section, but feel free to use filter all the other tables. So I prefer using that. Then what are we going to do? I'm going to list. So list everything, list the chains. And I remember we said this command is used in conjunction with a tag n. Now what do we say about tag n? Well, let's try and see. Well, tag n is to disable the name resolution. So we can add a tag n here, tag n. So, and as you can see, we have the chains there. So our table nut has 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 4 chains, which is pre-routing, input, output, and post routing. Now, how do we add a chain? Well, it's simple. So the IpTables. So might be in my keyboard and the spacebar has some errors. So IpTables minus T nut. I want to add a chain in the nut table. So I'm going to do a tag n and then the chain name, drop it. I'm going to call it drop it. So, and as you can see, there it is. No error, no feedback. So has it been added? So, and as you can see, we have it added here. Now, how do we delete. How do we delete the chain? Well, it's just as simple. So IpTables minus t naught tag x, then the name of the chain. No mistake, no error message. So but if we erase all the chains, as you can see, the chain is gone. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new chain. Maybe let's create forward. No, let's not use forward. So let us use curly. Yeah, let us use curly. IpTables minus t naught minus n curly. So as you can see, curly is the last one here. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a rule to that chain. Which kind of a rule? So we are going to redirect the SSH traffic from port 22 to port 2222. How do we do that? So we are going to redirect all the packets coming from port 22 to port 2222. So let's do that. So we're going to do IpTables minus t. So the table is nat minus a. Append this row to what we called curly. So this is our chain. Minus p full protocol. So we want put SSH uses TCP. So I need TCP port. Then we want for traffic from destination port 22. We want to do what? We want to do a command called, we're going to redirect to port 2222. So, and as you can see, no error message. So what does it mean? Does it mean that it's successful? Let's find out. So we're going to list the rules available in a specific chain by IpTables minus t naught minus l. List all the chains in our curly chain, and as you can see, we have the rule here, redirect. We need TCP from source anywhere to destination anywhere. So we're going to do this, redirect SSH direct ports 2222. That's how you do it. Now, if in case you note that I no longer need this rule, what are you going to do? So just delete it. What are you going to do? How are you going to delete this? Well, we're going to use what you call a tag B. We're going to use a tag D to delete this. So we're going to do IpTables minus t naught. Oh, we're still working on the nat table. Tag D. We're going to delete from which chain? From which curly? We're going to delete rule number 1. As you can see, no mistakes, no error message. But let's trace the rules and see if the rules there. And as you can see, it has 0 differences. So that means the rule has been deleted. Now, so the next thing we're going to look at is preventing packets from a specific source. How do we do that? We said a tag S gives us the source. So what we're going to do, first let me clear the terminal. So what we're going to do is drop traffic from a given source. So what we're going to do is IpTables tag A, append the rule in the input chain or whatever the table is, input chain, and from the source, maybe we want to block the source 10.10.10. Okay, sorry, 10.10.12. That's the source address. We want to block any incoming network packets from that source. So the action will be tag J, do what? Drop drop it. So, and as you can see, the command works. Now let us raise IpTables minus 10 not minus L input accept and so on. Okay, IpTables minus T. Okay, minus T not tag. Oh sorry, remember we said that the filter table handles search, and we're going to grep 10.10.10.12. I'm not sure what I used. Yeah, it is. So you are using the wrong table, so it's filter. So if you drop the packets here, you make use of what you call the filter table, and as you can see, it's going to drop everything coming from that IP. I hope we are clear on that. Now the next thing we are going to do is drop traffic coming from a given port. How do we do that? So we're going to do the same thing. IpTable minus T, that is, well, let us not use the table because we already know filter table handles such requests. So IpTables minus A input. So you open the input, then the tag P, the port itself, sorry, so tag P, the protocol should be TCP. Then we also have the destination port, that this is the default, so you can also use the default instead of destination port. So let us use default. A default is port 80, or maybe let's assume port yeah, it is okay, port 80, and then the action should be drop, and as you can see, that's going to do what? Drop it. Now I really don't need this, so I'm going to do IpTables mine tag T, it's in filter, tag L input, and view the roles. So the last role here is number what? Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to delete rule number 8. So we said, how do you delete IpTables? That, then tag D, and then the row number. Because if this happens and I decide to use my laptop as a server, then all traffic coming to port 80 will be dropped. Well, I've dropped that, so let's confirm if it's gone. Yeah, as you can see, it's gone. Also number 7, I need to remove number 7 because I don't feel safe doing that. So number 7 and number 8 are gone. Now the next thing we have to look at is dropping traffic from the entire subnet. That's very simple. You use what you call the cross-trace interdomain routing, that is the side annotation, that is IpTables minus A. I'm supposed to do this, surely? Yep, okay. Tag P, the protocol, I'm going to use TCP. We're going to drop any TCP traffic coming from the entire subnet. Then we want to do a tag S, tag S to be maybe 10.10.10.12. Not necessarily 12. We are going to use the side annotation, that is 0/24. That is the cross-trace interdomain routing. So I encourage you to do some bits of networking so that you can clearly understand what we mean by this. So that is the entire subnet /24. So all what we're going to do is we want any traffic coming to port 80 from within the subnet. We're going to do what we call a drop. We're going to drop it. As you can see, command successfully executed. Then the next thing we have to look at is prevent traffic from a port in an interface. So that's just simple. So what we're going to do is add a tag I for what? I for interface. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to repeat the last one here, but what we're going to do is we're going to add a tag I for eth0. So meaning we're going to drop everything that comes to this interface in this subnet, and as you can see, command successfully executed. So what we have just added is just the interface. So we can also restrict what is going out. We don't want our machine to send anything on port 82, maybe the entire subnet. So instead of tag I here, we're going to use tag O. Now output, oh, not input. So this one should be now output. We don't want our machine to send anything out through this interface. So we're going to do output, and as you can see, the rule works. So if we don't want anything to do with input, so it's input chain tag I. Now output chain tag O. And we hope you have understood that. Now the next thing we're going to do is block all traffic coming into that machine except from a single source. So we want to exempt one IP address to be accessing that machine. How do we do that? Well, simple. Okay, IP tables space tag. So what we're going to do is tag A, which is the input. Let us use input that is in the NAT table. Yeah, it's NAT minus append this to input. We want everything in the input to be dropped, so plus the protocol should be TCP. So if you want to drop UDP, just do use a datagram, packets and so on. So in the meantime, I'm going to use TCP. Then next thing we're going to do is, now we want to drop everything except the source 192.168.43.1. Then the destination port, maybe if we have the destination port, you don't want any other machine to send traffic to our port 80, then we are going to do what? Drop. The NAT table is not intended for filtering. Okay. Oh, sorry for that. The table should be filter. And as you can see, that works. Sorry for that confusion. So filtering is done by the filter table. Now that's all we have to cover today, and I hope you will be able to work with IP tables in whatever situations arise. So if you want to do more examples on that, try the manual IP tables, and you'll have more than enough help. Here you can read through the documentations, see, experiment on what you want to do, and then try out some new things. If you get stuck, I'll be here ready and waiting to help. Now, the first thing we are going to look at is block any block any outgoing traffic. So maybe we want to block any outgoing traffic on port 25, maybe not port 25, port 4444. We don't want our machine to receive anything through that port, because most of the hackers and other kiddies, maybe script kiddies, prefer using port 444. So we need to make sure that nobody is testing their skills in our system using the same port they used while studying. So what we're going to do is we're going to do IpTables minus T filter. So we are going to filter anything coming into the system, not into the system. We don't want our system to send anything out, to send back the connections to anybody. So the output, so we're going to block the protocol, that is TCP. Then the destination port, the default, we're going to block port 444, yeah. And what we're going to do is we're going to drop everything, and as you can see, no errors, and that means nobody can connect to our machine using port 444. So this is how you restrict traffic, the outgoing traffic in your system. So if you don't want port 225 to port 25 to connect, you just add port 25. You don't want somebody to telnet into your machine, port 23. Nobody should do what we call SSH, port 222, and so on. So but in the meantime, I'm gonna delete this because I really don't need them. Now this is the end of the course, but for your assignment, try more of those. This is what you'll be doing in the ethical hacking section, because you want somebody somewhere to connect into your machine, so you need to allow access into your own machine using what you call the IpTables. And remember, we said IpTables is not the firewall itself. IpTables gives you the interface to manipulate or work with what you call the Netfilter Linux firewall. See you in the next video. Bye.